This is the second painting that I've done in my series of Little Girls in the Rain. And the first one, I talked more about mood. And with this one, it's a moody painting as well, but not nearly as much. And in this one, I do have more brighter colors involved because I've got, as you'll seeing, a red umbrella, red boots, and a yellow duck. So again, it's this one is moody as well, but it's got a slightly different tone, and so that's where I made the conscious decision in the other painting to keep all the colors subdued and not have any real bright, warm colors. Well, in this one, I really wanted to emphasize the umbrella, the duck, and the rain hat that the little girl has. And so when I did it, I consciously knew that these being fairly bright, fairly warm colors, that they would draw a great deal of attention to themselves. You'll notice that I kept the anatomy to a minimum. It's subdued, subjective. The anatomy's correct in that proportionally we can see that this is a little girl, but I didn't make any attempt in trying to get a medically, anatomically correct proportion and scale. It was just doing enough so that you could tell who this person was generically. Also, even though I'm using brighter colors in some of the elements, they're still subdued themselves. Quick to muddy them down with complementary colors. In this particular instance, I'm pretty sure that that's a phthalo blue. May not be. I did this painting a little while back, but that's very possible. But whatever color it is, I'm real quick to mix it in with the yellow and the blue, or the yellow and the red, and start bringing those colors down. And notice that I'm talking about using the blue as a graying color. I'm not talking about putting blue on yellow and making a green, or blue with red and making a violet. I'm talking about making a gray. And the way that works is that very possibly I was putting some of the yellow in with the red and the blue, so that actually this is a triadic color scheme. It's primary colors. And I don't believe, I'm sort of seeing the painting like you are, so it's the first time I've seen it in a while. I don't believe I added any other colors into it. So anytime I made a color mixture, it would be those three colors together plus white. And again, like I said in the other video, what that does is that it helps to make sure everybody relates to one another, because if those are the only three colors you've got, they're the only game in town. So if you're trying to brighten something up, darken something down, if you're trying to subdue a color, then those are the only things you've got. And the more you mix them together, as long as you don't overmix, rather than having a mud, you wind up with a lot of these wonderful, rich gray tones, all of which have a little bit of the colors, the other colors in them, and it just makes them relate to one another. So that's always really nice. It's a way of keeping your colors from getting overwhelming and too many, where you don't know what to do. Especially if you're not really comfortable with color, keeping a subdued palette is always a real good idea, because it prevents you from just getting lost in this myriad of colors that you just don't know what to do with. The brushes that I'm using, for the most part, they're rounds. I always encourage students to have as many different types of brushes as you can. So, as many types of brands, as many types of, I can't think of the word, as many types of bristles as you can, because you just don't ever know what you'll wind up using. I was not a big fan of round brushes for a long time. All I did was use filberts, and I did that mostly because John Singer Sargent used them. And so I was real adamant about using filbert brushes. And over the years, I began to add to my repertoire, and it was really wise, because it opened up the possibility of a lot of techniques that, well, I mean, certain brushes will do certain techniques that no other brush will do. Now, just looking at this, I realized I turned myself into a fibber. I said earlier I just had the three colors. Well, no, that's not true. I had a fourth color that was in there, and that's dioxazine purple. And dioxazine purple is a real day-glow color. It's really powerful and bright, so you got to be careful how you use it. But if you're comfortable with it, and you just realize that it is strong, and you have to be really careful what you do with it, then you'll be okay. Just realize that the dioxazine colors, the phthalo colors, they overwhelm mixtures. They're just super intense, super intense. And if you use just a little bit, it goes a long way. So that's the thing you want to think about, is anytime you're using some of these really bright colors, is to just realize that a little bit of that color mixed in with something else is going to go a long way. Now, the reference material that I used off of this, honestly, they would just be pictures I got off the internet. And what I'll do is get 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 or 15. There may literally have been 15 or more photographs that I used in this painting. And, I'd find a picture of a little girl, and maybe I liked her overall look, her hair or something like that. But then there'd be another one where I liked the way the arms were, and another where I liked the color of the boots. Now, I am very secure drawing the anatomy, so it doesn't matter to me if the model is not in the position that I want the figure to be in the painting. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'll just adjust it to whatever I want. And so I encourage you, if you're not really comfortable with anatomy, to really study it, to really draw and paint the figure as much as you can, because the more comfortable you get with it, then you can just have a ball. You can go in and you move things around. You're not a slave to your photographic references. And I want to be able to do what I want to do. And so having that base of knowledge gives me the freedom to adjust and move things around without any fear. And you can do it too. If you have a modicum of ability to draw and paint, then you move into the territory of do you want to take the time and learn? So much of this it's just a learned skill. Doesn't have anything to do with being incredibly talented, somebody with all these Michelangelo type abilities. Yeah, there are people out there who have those types of abilities. I don't happen to be one of them, and you probably don't either. There are very few people who do. But the nice thing is there aren't that many geniuses out there either. For the most part, There are people who just work hard and they're willing to put forth the time and effort that other people aren't. And so that's why they achieve these great heights, is that they're willing to put forth the time and effort that many of us aren't willing to do. So I have always been tenacious, and I was like a dog with a bone. I mean, I would just grab a hold and I'm not letting go until I've chewed every bit of the marrow out of it. And that's why I've been able to achieve whatever success one could say I've achieved. And I say that to encourage you that if you're struggling and you look and it can be real depressing looking at the internet and seeing all these incredibly talented artists, and you think, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to do that. Well, don't tell yourself that, because you don't know that. When I look at my work, this is not bragging. This is actually, shock, awe, delight. When I look at what I can do now at almost 60, my 25-year-old self could not have comprehended that I would ever have been able to have achieved the successes that I have. And I mean, I still struggle. I still struggle with some paintings. And if you're not struggling at some point, then you've stopped growing. But before I go on that rabbit trail, I just wanted to tell you that for me, being able to sit here at almost 60 and see what I'm able to do, it just amazes me, because I remember what it was like to be in my early 20s, 30s, and just struggling and thinking, oh, I'll never be as good as these people I look up to. I'll never be able to achieve the things I want to. And I've been very pleasantly surprised. God has been very good to me. But I've also I've used the talents and abilities that He's given me, and I've pushed them as far as I could. And every day when I come into the studio, I'm always looking for new challenges and new things to sink my teeth into. So I just wanted to share that with you. And maybe talk a little bit about the techniques. Some of this, I mean, you can look and see what I'm doing. I'm just taking paint and pushing it around, not being afraid of it. I hope you'll notice in some of this that there are times that I'll do a color and I'll pick up color from surrounding objects. So I might be painting on the face and I pick up some of that purple in the hair. Well, don't panic. At one time I would have probably panicked too, but I'm just telling you, don't panic. That may be the best thing that could have happened, because by getting a little bit of that hair color into the face, it causes the color of the face to begin to have a relationship with the hair. It's not these different islands of color that don't relate to one another. And that's something, one of the reasons why I like the technique that I use now of painting silhouettes in one particular color and then painting on top of that, is that it forces me to mix all my colors together. There's no one color that's laid down independent of everyone else. That's usually somewhat derisively called the coloring book style, which some people do to great effect, but just be careful with it, because you wind up with these hard edges, and you'll wind up with just a whole series of shapes and objects that don't really relate to each other. They're just like like they're cookie cutter templates that are cut out and just laying side by side, and usually it doesn't look very good. So doing something like this is, your paint's already mushed together anyway, so getting a little bit of it, picking it up with your brush and getting it somewhere else. You don't care because it's already there. Well, and you'll also see I use the back tip of the brush, the butt end of the brush, and I'll scrub things around. I'll use my fingernails, use my fingers, I don't care. Just whatever gets the paint moved around like I need it to. So, again, I'm not trying to be flippant with this. I'm just trying to let you know you can have fun. You can go in and not be anxious about what you're doing. Go in, have a good time. If you mess things up, don't worry about it. You can fix it. And if you can't, keep working at it, and the better you get, then eventually you will be able to. That's what I've done through my career, is just learn how to fix my mistakes. Well, all right, I think I'll let you go on this one. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. You take care. If you've enjoyed this episode of The Arthropologist, please hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more episodes like this, think about subscribing. I'm Bill Wilson, and I'm The Arthropologist.